music and thinking, the storm is now raging. But listen, it's a declaration. The fact that you say the storm is over doesn't mean that you're not going through your troubles and your problems. We are on the hustle. We are all hustling. But at the end of the day, it is a declaration. If you believe it, you have faith, it is going to happen. It's a beautiful day. You can choose to see it that way, even though things may not be going too well for you. But in the end, you will be smiling. That's a promise.
Amen.
Yes.
You know, you've reminded me of Henry Ford, and this is one of my go-to quotes. Whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. So whatever it is, just believe you can, believe it's possible, and do it.
But even if you worry and you cry, like you're crying right now, can that change the situation?
No, it won't.
Yeah, so you're better off smiling and laughing around, like you don't have problems. I think it's better that way. Yeah.
You cheer yourself up. Well, let's dig into the papers this morning, and there's a whole lot to talk about, but I have here the Daily Guide, Republic Press, BNFT, the Accra Times, and the National Enquirer. What do you have, Mama?
The Ghanaian Times newspaper, the Daily Dispatch, the Finder, the Daily Statesman, and the Today newspaper.
Okay, so let's start from the Daily Guide newspaper, and it says Nana meets Pan-African members of Parliament. Of course, we are talking about AU Day, and Speaker Bagbin also had a word for African leaders, but that's in another paper. Jomoro MP hot over dual citizenship. I'm talking about Dorcas Afo Toffee. And it's not a toffee-ish situation at all. This is not a sweet situation. The story is on page 3, and it talks about how a resident of Nuba and Pataba in the Jomoro district of the Western region has filed a writ at the Secondary High Court challenging the NDC's Member of Parliament for the area, Dorcas Afotofi, to produce evidence of her renounced dual citizenship in court. He alleges that the MP was holding multiple nationalities, American and Ivorian citizenships, which violates the 1992 Constitution. Of course, you know she's not the only one mired in such an incident. There are others as well. So more of that in the Daily Guide newspaper. Something else that I want to highlight on page 3 is this one. President blasts siren abuse. It's in another paper as well. But President Akufo-Addo does not seem happy about the use and abuse of sirens in vehicles by some ministers, government officials, and appointees. He has therefore issued what appears to be a final warning to those in the act of abusing blurring sirens, or stop or face the music. But this is something we've spoken about time and again. You remember when I spoke to the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Henry Quartey, on the SMS, he made mention of the fact that they were going to deal with that. In fact, he brought up some timelines, and he said that he was going to speak to Fremont Parry, the Chief of Staff, to ensure that those in government were whipped in line, so that if you did not qualify to use it, you wouldn't. Hopefully, now that Mr. President has added his voice, that can, because sometimes there are genuine reasons and people don't even want to cede their position on the road because they think, it's just another one of those, before they realize, oh, maybe it's an ambulance, because it's become so rampant. Everybody is using a siren. Ochenhene gives SHC 200 acres of land, and MP gets 2 million Ghana cedi bail for 2.4 million fraud. And fraud is in quotes, quotation marks, because that has not been established. It's still an allegation. Mali's former coup leader takes power after president's arrest. And, you know, it's been like a clean sweep. I think the president, prime minister, and others just swept aside, and the military is back at it.
On Africa Day.
On Africa Day, yeah. Chief orders Mugabe remains reburied. And this one is interesting. A traditional chief in Zimbabwe has ordered that the remains of the country's former president, Robert Mugabe, be exhumed and reburied at a national cemetery. So that is the take there. I'll wrap with this story on page 11. It says mosquitoes now resist insecticides, and that's according to the GAEC. It's a study from that body. Now, research conducted by the Biotechnology and Nuclear Research Institute of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission has revealed extreme resistance to insecticides among Anopheles mosquitoes in small cocoa growing villages in the Ashanti region. Now, the research conducted at Atatim in the Adansi-Asokwa districts of the Ashanti region showed that there were two major malaria vectors, one dominating during the dry season and the other during the rainy season. Unlike in many communities where there is only one transmission season, usually the rainy season. But in a nutshell, according to the director, research was ongoing to proffer alternative tools that could fight the malaria vectors or prevent further resistance to maintain the effectiveness of existing vector control interventions. It's important to bring this up because if the insecticides are no longer working on the mosquitoes, and yes, because the drugs that we are using to deal with them, they are. But you know, sometimes I shudder. You know, some of the things we've suffered. I mean, back then, centuries ago, syphilis couldn't be dealt with because they didn't have antibiotics until penicillin was discovered and all of these other things. Sometimes I sit down and wonder where we are headed as a world, where you develop this and then over time, viruses and bacteria develop resistance to them. We could get to the point where you are practically having diseases that none of your medication can treat.
Yeah. Aren't we there already?
Anyway, so
some instances.
On the back page, just to wrap, Partey flouts COVID rules, attends illegal party. I'm sure you've heard of that, and he's in hot waters for
Partey after Partey. No, I haven't.
That situation.
I havenn't.
And I am Zembebre. I don't know what happens to these players. I mean, from time to time they just go, or is it? Maybe it's the coaching style.
He's an African in England, isn't it?
Oh, well.
We're going to blow this out of proportion. You see, when
but to be fair, I mean, players when they flout the rules have been
especially when you're African. The British media is going to put the spotlight on you, like spotlight that you didn't need in your life. They will make you miserable.
Anyway, so that's some of the Daily Guide newspaper.
All right, let's do the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Here's what's on the front page. Ghana Health Service extends COVID-19 vaccination to Friday. 275,000 so far received second jab. The Upper East region has recorded 1,639 teenage pregnancies in the first quarter of this year alone, according to the figures that they have. Remember the other figure. In 2020, we recorded over 10,000 teenage pregnancy cases. And those between the age of 10 to 14, this is a record figure, isn't it? 2,865 girls aged between 10 and 14 got pregnant in 2020. But this Upper East region
it goes back to that statistic we were talking about weeks ago, about the over 100,000 who...
Yeah. So this Upper East region says that pregnancies were recorded across the 15 municipal districts in the Upper East region within the first quarter of the year. A midwife with the Bolgatanga Municipal Health Directorates made the revelation during a review meeting of sexual and reproductive health and rights advocates, including 50 young people from 6 districts on Monday. She expressed worry about the situation, noted that at the end of 2020, the region had recorded 6,533 cases, which placed the region 7th on the regional league table in the country. We're talking about a league table, not one for women and girls to be proud of, because these are teenagers we're talking about. And in most of the instances, these are girls whose bodies are not ready to carry what they are carrying. And you can imagine some of them will lose their lives because the birthing process is not an easy one if you're not ready for it. And it brings back...
it can be life-threatening for someone who is not even ready for it.
Absolutely. It brings back, this whole conversation today, the Orange Support Center that's been set up. We're talking about the girls getting pregnant, but how about the corporate? Because if they are 10 to 14, consent is useless. So it means that whoever got them pregnant has committed an offense, and we need to find them. As part of the conversation, I think we shouldn't just be mentioning the fact that so number of girls are getting pregnant, but the people who got them pregnant must also be found and dealt with, really. So watch out for that conversation in terms of what kind of support is available for a young girl like that who's gotten herself pregnant. But the CRI Partners National Chief Imam to fight child abuse is also another headline in today's Ghanaian Times. And 8 policemen allegedly extort 38,000 Ghana cedis from drivers. That's one that we will come back to. It's on page 3, where they've got the crime stories. And then 2 perish, 11 injured in accident at Chechere. Calm restored to secondary prisons after they protested against the quality of food served at the facility on Sunday, which was a good thing, by the way. And then on Major Mahama's murder case, court cautions defense attorney. It says a Supreme Court judge yesterday issued a warning to defense attorney Mr. Theophilus Donko in the case in which 14 persons are being prosecuted for the alleged murder of Major Maxwell Adams Mahama Densho in the Central Region on May 29, 2017. Justice Mariama Owusu, a Supreme Court judge sitting with additional responsibility as High Court, issued the caution because the lawyer was absent from court on Monday. He was expected in court to cross-examine independent witnesses in whose presence caution and charge statement of the accused were taken at different times. There's a good background to the story. You can continue to read on. But quickly, what's on the back page of the paper? NADMO urges Ghanaians to prepare for heavy rains between June and August this year. That's the Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization, Eric Nana Ajman Prempe, who said that Ghanaians should be prepared ahead of time for heavy rains and associated thunderstorms in the coming months. Korea donates $190,000 equipment to ECOWAS Maritime Center in Accra. Full story on the back page of the paper.
You know, sometimes I get very worried. Ghana Beyond Aid, of course, it won't just happen immediately, but debia yejio, and yeji. When will we ever give? We take every day, pan in hand. Oh, give me. Hey! What kind of continent is this?
That's one there is in the Bible. What you said is in the Bible. We say it, but we don't practice it, particularly as a nation, when we say it is better to give than to receive.
Anyway, now it is Ghana Beyond Waiting. Hey, are you?
Not the aid, but Ghana Beyond A.
Hey.
Who invented that? Was it Derek Akosam?
Well, who knows? But it's Ghana Beyond Aid, not aid, please. But officially, it is Ghana Beyond Aid. Let's not do that. It's Ghana Beyond Aid.
Well, okay, say let's not do that.
I just wanted to stress, when you were talking about the situation to do with the girls who have got impregnated and all of that, is very important to highlight also. According to Act 29 of 1960, the age of consent when it comes to sex is 16 years. So we ought to be really, just because you were mentioning the age range, those who are 10 to 14
is useless.
Yeah,
you can't say a child consented.
16. So if you're dealing with anything below that, but some people have even questioned that when 18 is the legitimate age of doing so many things in the country, voting and all of that, and some have questioned why it is 16, why it is not 18. But that is something that those who say the Constitution should be looked at, or statute books generally should get into. But I am happy this morning about something the Daily Graphic has done. Why? It's because they are following up on something that you read yesterday. You read about the dark streets and poorly lit, all of that. So improving street lighting, Energy Ministry, GSA to the rescue. So these two institutions, the Ministry of Energy and the Ghana Standards Authority, are leading efforts to undertake a confirmatory assessment of the entire street lighting infrastructure.
Assessments.
Relax.
And then you said to the rescue.
It's coming.
Massa.
In the country. This is to ensure that the infrastructure meets the Ghana standard for street lighting.
I beg. And that's not an encouraging. Listen,
relax and let's dive.
We have been doing the assessments. Like, don't they live with us? Like, they don't see the places that are dark. Like, we have to.
When was the last time you used the thermometer?
Now we have to go around again and go and assess. Don't they live around? Like, don't we all live in Ghana? The places that were highlighted in Sunyani, in Takrady, in Accra, and the other places. Don't we have state officials? Don't we have public workers?
I know a stretch in Roman Ridge where people have been robbed time and again. a plush area as Roman Ridge, a certain stretch going down, because at night, that stretch, I mean, it's even now that the road has been bettered, but that stretch is so poorly lit, anyone can jack you up.
So, Benjamin Akapo, let me understand though. They're going to, what, sit in the car and go around and do assessments and find out where the traffic lights are not working?
A meeting has been held between the two institutions, during which the resolution to work together to ensure improvement in street lighting in the country was finalized. Oh, again, the two institutions, together with other stakeholders, will begin. This is where will begin a joint assessment of all street lighting projects currently ongoing in the country to ensure the materials used are in conformity with their standards.
The material,
it's the Ghana Standards Authority. They are looking at the standards.
The materials must conform to standard even before it enters into the country. There is a point where these things are checked. So you don't sit there and wait for them to put it up and they are not working and come back and say, I'm not going to check.
You're getting worked up over the thing.
I am upset. Let's move on. Let's move on.
This country,
why are we spending money doing things that we shouldn't be? These things should have been done way before.
Ghana for you. But the street lighting thing, I mean, it exposes people to criminal elements. So many things happen. Accidents. You remember that very bad one with the onion truck or whatever that was parked and these people left? Do you think if the stretch had been well lit, those accidents would have happened?
It makes driving at night very scary. Sometimes even genuine people who need support. Talk about the Gempa stretch, that famous road.
People have been
telling their stories all the time. I mean, it's terrible. Now we need some big institutions to do assessments when we have assemblies all over. Hey.
Well, let's look at the gender page and something that you're going to be talking about. Central Region fights adolescent pregnancies, records 10,301 last year. And those involving men and boys as well, that also cannot be swept under the carpet. It's also here on page 13 of the paper. On Africa Day, AU Day, the CPP has been talking about raising awareness on a united Africa. With what happened to Nkrumah, what happened to other African leaders, even including the likes of Muammar Gaddafi. I have my own problems with him, but you know, the mindset and all of that. I don't know whether we'd ever, under the sort of leadership we have in Africa currently, ever get there. But only time will tell. We must retrieve stolen treasures, artifacts. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. You know, I think, was it Nigeria? Or was it Benin that has had some of those returned in recent times? And will that happen for other countries, including Ghana as well? On the back page, Kitu Hospital gathering dust. And NADMO commiserates with family. Should we have more time, I'll do the K2 Hospital gathering dust.
All right, let's do the Daily Dispatch newspaper. But this is the headline of interest. Former PNC national chairman declares only 2 political parties exist in Ghana. He belongs to a political party, by the way, which Mr. is not NDC or MPP. But he was talking about
Mr. Mona.
Yes, he was talking about the recent IPAC meeting to discuss election 2020 related matters. So his point really is that whether you like it or yes, there are just 2 political parties, NDC and MPP. So if you went to a meeting like that and there were no representation from the NDC, then you can't say really that you've had a fruitful meeting. Just a bit of questions. So the PNC that he belongs to, if it's not a political party, then what are they? And then, of course, this issue of over 1,300 apply for MMDCE vacancies nationwide is also here. And then, of course, Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso saying that the 2020 elections, best ever in Ghana. And just down there, you see Bernard Mona making the point that there are only 2 political parties. So I guess if you say that, then you can't say that the assessment that they made at the IPAC meeting was fruitful.
Let's do Republic Press now. What's your take on this? Unexplained wealth must be criminalized in Ghana. Haruna Idrisu.
Oh, we talk too much.
No, what do you think? Unexplained wealth must be criminalized in Ghana.
You know what?
To a large extent, I agree with you.
Just the GRA.
We have too many people doing so many things, springing up with, well, and it's totally unexplained. How did they get all that?
No, you see, it's not a problem that can't even be solved now. That's why I said we talk too much. I was going to say that the GRA, the Ghana Revenue Authority alone can deal with this. Yeah.
How?
Oh. They have do you know the powers that the Director General has?
I know he or she has wide powers, depending on who
it is. Benjamin Akapo, you're driving, give me a name of a car.
That is what I want us to break down.
The GRA
it's a stone boy
can come after you.
Who has recently got a Benz, a Brabant or whatever.
The GRA can come after you.
You get it. So it's obvious that these people are living a certain life. I'm not singling him out, but I'm saying that people of that status, you have people rolling in such vehicles in this country, and you can't explain their wealth. They are not paying taxes, and nothing is being done.
Massa, the GRA can deal with this matter. See, the person who is saying that knows it. We don't need another policy, another whatever. Let's simplify our matters. GRA can deal with it.
Ayo.
Yeah.
But the final story I'll do, it's more of you scratch my back, I scratch yours. You know where I'm going. It's the latest allegation, the latest epistle from Uncle Martin Alamisi Benz Kaiser.
Why can't they allow him to rest?
Maybe some will also be asking, why can't he allow himself to rest?
Well, they mention him and he comes to defend himself.
But I think
apparently,
you see, Martin, you throw one punch, he will give you, it's kind of like the epistles. You write one page, he'll give you like 3 or 4 or 5. So you keep doing the multiplication. Uncle Martin, a very good morning to you if you are watching us. But that's the latest. He's saying it was hand go, hand come. Don't touch my MPs who have been cited for double salaries and will also do the right thing when it comes to. But of course, we've heard a lot of people. Inusa Fuseni himself, whose name was mentioned, he's been speaking on this matter. He says this is totally, it's completely unfounded. What, something that happened in 2017, thereabouts? How many years down the line? And what, it is now being used as a bargaining chip? No way. Whichever way you look at it, personally, I think it's still an indictment on the 7th Parliament. And we need, you can't say that, oh, let minority answer that because this is right at them. I think the leadership of that 7th Parliament also owes us, the people, some form of explanation. If indeed this is true, then even though the majority had, there was clear majority in that Parliament, still, if there was a deal like that, we would have been at the losing end as citizens of Ghana and the state, essentially. So they owe us some explanation. Well, I totally agree with that. Let's check out some more papers, or else I'll wrap with 2 headlines. The final one for me. So board awaits Bank of Ghana report to act. That's ARB Apex Bank. And then TOR unveils plan to clear 400 million debt to turn around refinery. People will smile at this and not take it serious. TOR is always in debt. Hey! Then we know that they're making progress. But there was a point. Until then, there was a point when TOR was basically doing well. I think it all boils down to management, leadership. Kind of like what Bagwin says on AU Day. You know, leadership, African leadership. They shouldn't blame the youth. They should blame themselves. I mean, how can you have a state institution and it's always indebted? What kind of sebe? So, TOR, start doing it, and then, you know, when we see headlines like this, we can take it more serious. And another thing, in this country, we are always doing, we are always going to do, we never do. See, that's why I said, with that unexplained wealth thing, that as it is today, now, we can deal with it, and we can rake in a lot more money for the state, if only the Ghana Revenue Authority will do its work, and we will not politicize it. Do you know what song is coming to mind? Sing it. My telele, deal with it, deal with that thing, yeah. My telele, deal with it. Shall I beam to you, Stoneboy, if you're watching us anywhere. The National Enquirer, corruption hits GCB Bank as staff beat war drums. A group calling themselves the concerned staff of GCB Bank has raised some very pertinent concerns in a letter addressed to the chairman of the board of directors of the bank, Mr. Jude Arthur. And in that letter, they talk about a number of matters, but basically it borders on corruption. You can check out the details on pages 2, 3, and 5 of the paper. And the final one, like I said, Bagwin punches African leaders. Don't blame the youth for your incompetence. It's in the Accra Times on the back page. Oh. Okay.
You remember the story in the Ghanaian Times about 8 policemen allegedly extort 38,000 cedis from drivers? You know, they have what's the term, the police, modus operandi, there's a new one, maybe tomorrow, God willing. I'll describe it on the show, how they take the monies from the drivers. Right. See, police CID, most of them don't wear uniform, right? They are regular drivers on the road. Can they tell us that their fellow policemen, some of them allegedly don't ask them for it on the road? Like, you don't need any special tests to figure this out. I know a minister who was stopped. I know a minister who was Charlie Massa. If you know,
I'll tell you the story of 2 police people who dismissed themselves from the police service. You remember Peter Namfuri?
Yeah.
Former IGP.
Yeah.
So he had heard that there was this place where, you know, these police officers were constantly on the take. So one day he decided to go, but not in his official vehicle, in one of his old vehicles, and he wasn't wearing his stuff. But he gets to that point, and then as usual, the police people come and they are trying to, then he rolls down the glass, they see him, there was a bush close by, the 2 of them jumped into that bush, and that was how they dismissed themselves from the Ghana Police Service. They never returned, never to return.
Yeah, but there are some brave ones. They see IGP because they don't even know that's the IGP. They still will collect.
They don't care.
They still will collect. So this is investigations directed by the Regional Police Command. This is Deputy Commissioner of Police Afo Boachi Yadom. And this followed 2 reported cases against the police. So big ups. Listen, even though we see it happening, hardly do you hear that an action is being taken. And so I like very much what the Accra Regional Police Command has begun to do. All right. So report. So don't say it's normal. When they get you, they will collect. You can report and they will take it.
Yeah, Gio. Yeah, Gio. Yeah, Gio. Yeah, Jay.
Okay. Well, before we go, we've got a birthday dedication. Hopefully, I don't change somebody's sex this morning. Happy birthday to Corporal Samira Nuhu of Police National Headquarters Protocol Department from Constable Asamoah Bright. It's also your birthday. Ekia Echa Oyakwan. Happy, happy, happy birthday to you. If you didn't hear your name, but it's your birthday, we wish you God's blessings and enjoy the day. Ekia is with our sister station at Dome TV. It's her birthday today. We've got sports coming up. These days, what's happening?
Not much.
Still on top of the table.
Well, the leagues have wrapped up, but Charlie, be careful though, because if you guys drop from there, Asemato.
You know, Kotoko 4, I don't even know what your fears are. What I simply say and rejoice, it's just like I'm alive and I'm happy. I am saying that, Patrick, can you put the league table, the Ghana Premier League
You're leading
table
us with goals, and you are so what?
I have only said that Accra Hearts of Oak is on top of the league table. Like, have I said anything wrong?
In other news, the Lakers won against the Phoenix Suns. In fact, it was the second bit in their tie. They won today by 7 points, 102 to 109. And of course, one thing that we can look forward to, the Europa League final, Manchester United versus Villarreal.
Who is on top? We're landowners. Who is on top of the league table?
Okay, so
can you read?
You are spotting land guards because you're only there temporarily. You will not be there forever.
Muftal Nabila Abdullah is coming up next with plenty of sports stories. Stay with us. Phobia.